it's Game Dev Day, guys, and you know what that means? We're gonna leap into the production of making something as epic and cool as this for people to enjoy. And you know the action's gonna get crazy, because we have some special faces here to help us out and make the most amazing and ambitious tabletop game possible. Game Dev Day features things like coding, more coding, art, and budgeting. All right, okay, it's actually pretty chill. We're all pretty focused. So Matt's here. You might remember Matt. We've had a few game jams. In fact, let's flash back to a few Matt vlogs. Here you go, there was this one. Hey, look, it's Matt.
Hi.
Hi. So Matt's the coder I was telling you about. They're a strange breed of creature. But no, he's loading up his software and said, oh, lunch is ready. And then this one.
Cool, this is sexy. I like it.
Well done.
This man right here who loves being on YouTube.
So yeah, welcome back, Matt.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Matt loves being on camera. But pizza's arrived. Pizza's here.
Pizza,
It's
free
pizza
pizza.
time. Pizza. It's a good meeting. But you missed it. Alright, in all seriousness though, I did found a game company early last year, and at the start of this year, I ticked things over into active development. So we're developing our first game. The company's called Gatecrash Games. I'm very excited, but it's very slow active development because I've got to approach this realistically. Now, for those of you who don't know, before I became a YouTuber professionally, I was actually a game developer. That was my full-time job, but I was self-employed. I worked with Matt, who you met briefly, and it was for Flash. But we made a dozen or so sponsored and ad-supported games. Now, since that sort of fell apart and the Flash platform died and all of that, I've had the itch that I've wanted to scratch for a long time. And especially since coming back into tabletop time and really getting into tabletop games and also having a lot of experience with app and mobile games, I've seen a few areas that I think that these two could sort of come together, specifically a more app-oriented tabletop game. Now, this hasn't been done before well. And there are a lot of people who love tabletop games who, when they hear the idea of a tabletop game that is facilitated by an app or a website interface, the knee-jerk reaction is, ugh. My knee-jerk reaction to that response is, well, then it hasn't been done well yet. Things like email or Amazon had to prove itself as useful or interesting or fun, and I want to do that with this game concept. It's riskier than doing something that's a little more proven and tested. I want to come into the marketplace with a game that is different, and I want the opportunity to prove that you can innovate in a space like a tabletop game in a way that players can love and that can be future-proofed. But that's going to be a real challenge. We're just starting off. I'm doing 1 day a month, Rob's doing 1 day a month, and Dave and Alicia are doing 2 days a month each. That's just where we're starting. I'm the producer, so I'm doing all the budgeting. It is my job to make sure the game gets made in a time frame that is realistic and makes sense and is achievable, and with a budget that is realistic and makes sense and is achievable. But this is one of our first Game Dev Days. Our goal for today is something that we can have and use in hand by the end of the day to start very basic rudimentary playtesting of a prototype so we can start developing the cards and some of the core features of the game. With that said, big caveat, big asterisk, while I'm taking on this game dev journey, these ideas that haven't been tried before, I'm not going to be sharing much of it in great detail because I don't want other people to do them before I do them. So the game won't be clear what it is because that'll come later. Regardless, welcome, and I hope you enjoy us on this little Game Dev Day journey. And feel free to leave some questions below in the question of the day format, because in future Game Dev Days or other vlogs talking about this sort of thing, might be able to answer some of those questions. Let's go. Right, so a bit of a team intro.
Yeah.
Rob and Matt are working on the prototype together today. Basically just the bare bones functionality for us to start playtesting with cards. Without going into too much detail, the app functionality will function with cards. So it's like we'll have these characters, their abilities will be drawn as cards. Speaking of drawn cards, Alicia is drawing our cards.
That's
so
it.
This is card art. We're currently, because this is very prototype and work in progress, using the Hearthstone cards to sort of bastardize the card representation. That's the way we could just sort of, for now, see what things might look like as cards. Dave is working with me currently on world building, lore, and then soon game mechanics.
Stuff, but this is just a couple of pictures I grabbed that kind of exemplify the idea of this paradisical world, but with a like a slight Nordic bent in their technology. I mean, sort of high-tech, advanced, if that culture had reached civilization.
I've just got some reference photos for the next card. So it's going to be like a dark cloak of death, basically. So I'm thinking very like demented death vibes.
Oh man, I keep forgetting to vlog. You're missing all the excitement. We've been sitting down for hours and talking, and Rob and Matt have been sitting down for hours and coding. Game development is pretty straightforward, you guys. It sounds really sexy. It is fun, but it's actually a pretty slow burn sort of process. But I thought it'd be cool to bring you guys in on a little bit of design work David and I are going to do, because an element of this game involves cards, and we need to figure out the layout of these cards. Let's figure that out. This was my very first idea of how stats might lay out. The main thing is that it's immediately identifiable. Okay, that card.
I'm really starting to think we go down the route of Hearthstone and just don't have any information aside from 2 numbers on the card on the mobile version.
Let's actually work on that basis here.
So I'd almost get rid of this concept of it being a card, which is where it's basically just a frame. So cooldown, level, and then the picture. So it's 100% clear art. And then when you click on the card, we get this.
Okay, so then what is this?
And so we got stuck into one aspect of game design, specifically what the experience should be like for the players when they see the cards, and what information we show to sort of help them play the game as effectively as possible. And something seemingly as small as how a card shows has a huge effect on the moment-to-moment experience for the players and how they feel playing the game. And if you can nail enough of those moments, if enough of these design decisions are really carefully formulated and feel great, and then from a distance all work together really nicely and the game is really fun, well, I think you'll have a winner. And I want to make sure we nail every design decision we can, both on the macro level and the micro level.
So cards themselves look more like that in small view.
They're square now.
We're thinking basically just art and info.
What info?
Just cooldown.
Cooldown what?
And level.
So the intention is that if they want more info, they actually have to open the card rather than cast it.
Yeah, or inherently know what it is because they...
Yeah, well,
Which
that'll
after
come-
you've opened
that'll
it
come
twice, you sort of know. Oh, this is the one I shoot an arrow at someone.
So cooldown level, yeah, we can adjust that really quickly.
So there'll be a glance view of health.
Where are your enemies?
So in the tabletop version, I imagine it would be something like this.
Just opposite.
Yeah. And then their base.
Now can you see their stats?
That's a good
Can
question.
you see their cards?
Only if you click on it. And
Yeah,
then
I
you
think
can see.
the answer is yes, you should be able to. Once you've assigned a card, it's public knowledge. You'll see them assign the cards as the game is progressing.
Okay, so it's been about a week since the last game dev day, and Alicia's doing half day game development and Davey's doing some as well, so I thought it would be fun to check in and see how it's all going.
So I have just finished writing a whole bunch of stuff about some characters, but now I am literally right before you came up. Was just about to start making some like proxy cards so we can start playing around with deck building.
For the noobs out there like me, what's a proxy card?
So it's basically going to have the images Alicia's been working on and the information we want to convey, but that's about as pretty as it gets. And it's just meant to be visually instantly recognizable, explain what the card does, but in no way represent what the final product is, because we're going to iteratively be able to change these. And by putting them in card sleeves even, we can use like temporarily whiteboard markers and things like that to change values on the cards while we play test on the spot.
Yeah,
then,
oh that's cool.
Yeah, because you don't want to print the final versions and then change everything down.
Yeah, for sure.
It's another week later. We've got more awesome art happening with Alicia. Oh my God. And what's this over here, Dave?
I'm playing with distances and board sizes and trying to get a feel for sort of a preliminary playtest version of the game and what that will feel and look like.
You'll have to wait for that.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's different to anything I've done before, but I actually think it's going to really lead to like a really dynamic, fast turnaround of action and everything that's happening, which is going to be a bit fun.
Oh, and we're just getting started. It's a long road ahead. None of us are blind to that, but we're really excited to be chuffing away at it. Let's wrap up with a question of the day.
Now that your art channel has amassed an enterprise of productions and you have to do the business stuff before the art stuff, how do you cope with that?
There's a really cool GDC talk on running a game dev studio. I'll link to it in the description. You start your own game studio because you want to make games, right? So it's like, okay, then you got to do this. Can I make games yet? No, because then you got to do this. Can I make games yet? No. The answer keeps being no until you have a fully functioning studio and you say, can I make games yet? No, because that's not your job anymore. It's everyone else's job, but the studio is the game. And that is the coolest way of looking at it. It's exactly how I approach it. I love being a producer now. Like I really love stepping into the producer role, and like today was a whole day of literally just running around, making sure everyone has what they need, finding everything I can to do my administrative stuff, lining stuff up so I can record when I need to record. It was pretty chaotic, but it's really fun when things line up and everyone is empowered to be creative.
Yeah,
Hope that answers your question. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.